So Houston's basically just kind of like all right, it's kind of tall and cavernous, and everything else is north of the city.
You ready for this, guys?
Yeah.
The last time I was in Houston was when I found out that my ex-wife cheated on me. So, yeah.
Oh,
what a wonderful memory.
Oh, yeah,
what a wonderful memory of Houston. Garbage can.
The only time I went was to see Duran Duran, and it was a really good concert at the University of Houston. And look, that's a cool little university too, man. University of Houston was really nice. But the downtown area.
No, that whole area where University of Houston and then Rice right down the road, that's like the area you'd rather be in.
Yeah, if you're going to be there, might as well be there. It's funny, the reason I brought up the whole dog attack thing, we were at the at East Cobb yesterday for a baseball game, and this woman had a dog with her in the stands. And I'm like, it seems odd to bring a dog to a baseball game, but okay, whatever. But the dog kept getting aggressive. Like when people would walk by, it was like, just growling and barking, and you're like, and everybody kept noticing. I mean, it's where it's a 2.5 hour game, about an hour and 30 minutes into it, it's already snapped at and barked at a bunch of people, and the lady just stays. Finally, this kid that was working for Perfect Game walks by, and the dog reaches out and grabs his sweatshirt and, starts shaking his head and tears the kid's sweatshirt. And he's like freaking out. He's like, oh, my God. And he laughs it off a little bit because I don't think he knew what to do. And finally, they came over and asked this woman to leave. But I was like, geez, why did it take you so long? You could see your dogs being aggressive toward everybody out there. And I love dogs as much as anybody. But it just seems so obvious what needed to happen and yet didn't. So
it's always the little ones, too, that are...
right, typically. This one was a bigger one, though. This was like a kind of a German Shepherd mix.
It wasn't a pit bull, was it?
No, German.
Neil Bortz anything to talk about.
I was going to say, the meanest dog I've ever had, and it wasn't my lab pit mix, it was my Chihuahua mix.
Yeah.
That dog, we had to give that thing back to the shelter after 10 months because it wouldn't stop attacking dark-haired children.
Goodness gracious.
Like, I mean, prowling to go after them.
Yeah.
They're all evil. I hold my mother-in-law's up in the air hoping a hawk or a eagle grab it.
Take the Simba here.
Exactly. She's like, will you take the dog for a walk? I go, absolutely. She's like, do you want the leash? I'm like, nah, it's fine. I'll hold it.
Take that dog to the crossroads.
Right. What you got, David?
I remember one time I was playing golf, and there's a house up in the woods, like right to the right of the hole itself, and there's a short little wooden fence.
I blame you for this.
I'm walking at the time. I'm walking the course, and I'm taking out my 3-wood to get ready to hit my second shot, and this German Shepherd just charges from the house over towards the fairway, and I'm running away with my 3-wood like a freaking
like a sword trying to defend yourself,
like trying to get this dog away from me. I'm like, holy crap! I was just chased by this dang dog while I'm trying to play a round of golf.
Totally your fault.
Now was that Chateau Elan by any chance?
Atlanta Country Club.
Atlanta Country Club. Okay, maybe that's where it was. I think that same dog has been trained to steal Pro V1s because I hit a drive that was so beautiful right down the middle, and a German Shepherd ran out, grabbed the ball, and ran back to the backyard. So I think they trained their dog for that.
Seriously, to go make sure you steal really good golf balls.
Man, I don't mess with dogs on the golf course.
Dude, yeah.
Like, I love dogs, and I'm like, that's his area.
Yeah, seriously.
That ball's now yours.
Right. Yep. Have at it. The left is trying to figure out what to do with Joe Biden, Los, because they know he is unpopular. They know his policies have failed. And they know even Democrat voters do not want him running.
I don't think that we understood how big a deal it was when we were all texting each other and laughing over Joe Biden falling on the stage in front of the Air Force Academy.
Oh, my Lord.
I don't think we realized really how big a deal that was. To have the left go, oh, my God, he couldn't speak, and then he just falls down. Like, they're now having to ponder what are our options here. And as much as they want to put up the strong front of, hey, Joe's our guy, he's going to be able to run again, they have to, and I know they have to be doing this, they have to be secretly going, what are our other options? This one story I'm reading, they're like, well, name Barack Obama as your running mate. They're trying to come up with anything that helps bolster this man, and they realize they don't have a ton of options.
They have no options. And, I hate to break, anybody's spirits, but RFK Jr. is not the guy. And not because he doesn't have good policies. I'll be honest, 100% honest, nobody wants to listen to him because of what happened because of his vaccine injury. Nobody wants to listen to a State of the Union like, well, guys, the State of the Union is strong. Like, nobody can listen to that long enough. And as good of a candidate as I think he might be, there's no way he's going to make it. And he's the leading candidate behind Joe Biden at this point. The rest rest are just jokes. They are holding this party hostage. Joe Biden is going to be, because again, this isn't about him being the leader. This is about leading by committee, and the committee is the DNC.
This is an article over in the Messenger by Philip Allen Larcovara, and just the opening statement is almost like a fait accompli of like what is going on, where he ends up writing, and this is again in referencing the fall in front of the Air Force Academy, says that even amongst ardent supporters, Biden is too old and frail for another 4 years. The unpopular backup Vice President Kamala Harris only aggravates the problem. To bolster his chances for re-election, Biden needs to engage in some out-of-the-box creativity. And it talks about who can you possibly get to run with you. But that's where they're at.
Well, but they're handcuffed there. They can't. Yeah, you can't get rid of Kamala Harris. Do you
Kamala
realize?
will immediately cry racism.
Of course, and so will everybody in the Democrat Party. That's exactly right. They are handcuffed beyond all belief.
They could toss Hillary aside, and they were able to do that in 2008. Like, sorry, Hillary, this is going to be Brock's time. And as a standard white lady, that's just what it was, and there was nothing she could really do about it. You can't do it with Kamala.
No,
not with the way that they organize their party and the things they believe in.
Dude, no. It would be basically taking their centerpiece topic of conversation always and flushing it down the toilet.
Tug's right on one thing. The only person that could actually come in and fix this is Michael Obama, because I think that, she more than anyone else, she could actually bring Kamala Harris, step Joe Biden back and bring Kamala Harris with her and say, hey, she's going to be my VP too, and maybe make her look even better, and then just kind of avoid that. Or you could just get rid of her totally and run up against her and say, look, Michelle Obama replaces Kamala Harris. That takes away anything else when it comes to, this is misogyny, this is racism, this is whatever it may be. This is exactly what it is. But I don't think there's any chance whatsoever that Michelle Obama would jump into this race at this point. She may wait and let this go for 4 years and then come back and try to advance the football that way. That might be her strategy. But besides her, and RFK, there's nobody else in their bench and their bench is so, look, Gavin Newsom, come on, there's no chance he's ready. And look at California right now. They have no option but to stick with governing by committee.
There's something that is very strange about having a sitting president and realizing, first off, you can't primary him because you're committing political suicide. But within the Democrat Party, they're all saying, please, we need to primary this man.
We need somebody to step up and do it.
We need somebody to do this. We decided to go down this road, and it was in the interest of getting rid of Donald Trump. And now they're sitting back going, he's falling down in public in front of everyone.
The only person
he tripped over
a sandbag. A sandbag.
Yeah, the sandbag was the size of Tug. Like I was like, it wasn't like it was like, some tiny little thing. It was like, it was a big sandbag.
How do you miss it?
How did you miss it?
Tug just took a nap on the stage.
That's right. No,
it's not like it was just some small. It's like it's right in front of you, dude.
Yeah.
Well, come on, who puts one there though?
to weight things down and hold things in place on a windy day. Who does that? No, but the other thing is maybe they go back and draft Hillary. I don't think it's a good draft pick, but at least it's name recognition, and you do know about 40% of the country.
I don't think she's healthy enough either to do it.
Right? No. I don't think so either. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to find somebody, and if you're governing by committee anyway, at least it's somebody that has some positive name recognition. Not on this show because I don't have anything good to say about it, but you know what I mean.
Tell me you can find somebody who's a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah. Why do these old like Democrat women like Hillary Clinton and all of them, they all look like trans women now? Like when they get to that age, you're like, wow, she looks like that's a trans woman. No, that's Hillary Clinton. I'm like, oh.
That's right. Very confusing.
All Democrats.
It is very, very confusing.
Cut their hair short. Yeah. Like, you're a trans woman?
This is the Morning Extra, expanded until 10, first day today. And then you get a live afternoon show with the Kimmer Show this afternoon, 3 to 6 here on Extra 106.3. The expansion of the brand continues. A former FBI director says Trump may receive the party nomination wearing a government tracking device. That discussion after a Fox News update and a Borch report. Download the app so you can listen to it live every day. Morning Extra expanded until 10. Moving forward, and a live afternoon show. The Kimmer Show takes over the 3 to 6 post here on Extra 106.3. And if you're looking for great conservative content, you have found it. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Los. I'm the guy that's born and raised here in Georgia. I try to do things the right way. I'm a family guy. Rhino is a new son of the South, born and raised in New York, lives in the mountains of North Georgia now, up in Towns County, and is a guy that cares deeply about his family. And Front Office Los, same way, family man, but a numbers guy. He can make a spreadsheet work and do cartwheels and all that sort of stuff, but also...
Hello, new listeners.
That's right. Hello, new listeners.
Hello.
But also, if you need a breakdown of an NFL draft or a Major League Baseball draft, he's your guy. If you need to do a little bit of a story time where you learn something that's happened in the past and how it's repeating itself again, that's what we do on this show.
I don't give financial advice, but I will if you email me.
Right. Yeah, it's not my forte, but I could probably
I'm not a
help you out.
professional, but I will say,
Yeah.
wink, wink.
I could probably help you figure it out.
Call Tom
Spend
Gandolfi.
less than you make. Love.
Yeah, absolutely. Spend
Exactly.
less than you make, earn more, and then
Invest accordingly.
Invest what
Find
you
a
have
job
left
that
over.
pays
Like,
more.
like I think about guys like Tom, and whenever Tom comes on the show, and Tom Gandolfi, Three Bridges Financial, just gives a lot of just good insight, good information. It's fascinating how many times I wonder he has to be sitting in his office and has to say, "Stop spending."
Yeah.
The same way we talk about our government.
Yeah.
He's like, "You will not be hitting retirement if you keep up these these kind of actions."
I can only imagine. Yeah, he coaches them through it, though, Rana.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he gives good advice. I mean, look, there is some smart advice out there, but having a YouTuber tell me, like, well, the goal to being rich, and if you want to get to that point, become a famous music star or athlete. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what we're looking
Financial
for.
advice. Like, Tom's not going to give you that. He's going to let you know where to put your money, how to save your money. Hard assets are good, this, that, the other. I mean, he's a smart guy.
Yeah,
I love it.
no doubt about it. And this is the reason we bring it up is because earlier today, I introduced this. I don't know. It's a guy on YouTube who he gives financial advice, and it was so basic and
So
rudimentary.
basic.
So it was like, basically save more, spend less, and invest what you don't spend. I mean, those were the 3 tips to getting rich.
The numbers in this country are very evident. If you graduate high school, if you don't have a child out of wedlock, don't have a child early, and you get married, you're more than likely going to stay out of the poverty house. Those are the 3 big ones where when you tell people, like, yeah, I will tell my daughters, I'm like, just do these 3 things for me. And everything else will work itself
Everything
out.
else will fall right into place.
If you take care of those 3, the chances that you're going to be poor in this country are actually quite minimal.
This is the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3. All that is exactly right. And we want to save you some money, too, and give you a good experience for the 2023 Taste of Atlanta Sandy Springs edition. So we've got tickets now. It's a 2 passes to the Food That Rocks Sandy Springs event this weekend in Sandy Springs. Food That Rocks, presented by Taste of Atlanta in partnership with the City of Sandy Springs and your area BMW dealer. The ultimate experience includes unlimited samples from 25 Sandy Springs restaurants, the top chefs, a dessert bar, all you can drink, wine, beer, and craft cocktail tastings, chef demos, live music on the Coke Zero Sugar music stage. If you want to buy tickets, like if you don't win them today and you want to go because it's a cool event, you can go to foodthatrocks.org. That's foodthatrocks.org. Food That Rocks is June 8th from 7 until 10 p.m. in Sandy Springs, but we've got a free pair of tickets for caller number 5 now at 404-741-1230. 404-741-1230. We're going to make it really, really easy on you to go down there and experience some great food.
You don't have to answer any weird trivia or anything.
No,
You just call.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
I mean, if
and
you want to
exciting.
answer some, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, and Carlos is going to shoot me out of the cannon into the largest bowl of salsa you'll
That is
ever
right.
see.
That is going to be on the. See, there's going to be a main stage.
That's right.
That's the
Yeah.
side stage that we'll be doing our thing on.
It's the sideshow. It's
No
the,
net.
The Morning
just
Extra
a
sideshow.
big pool of salsa.
It's going to be weird. Rhino is picking out different things he wants to be shot into. Like it'll be salsa to start, then guac and pudding,
Cream
all sorts of cool.
cheese.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Dude, I
I
might
want to
even
see the
volunteer.
difference like in the splash between a guacamole. Like, do I splash or just sink in? And then I think with the salsa, it's going to splash everywhere.
Oh, definitely.
But
Yes, it depends on the thickness, I suppose.
Yeah, and I got to wear a rubber suit because, doing all this lawn work, I have cuts, and I did a trial run up here, and the salsa was burning all my open,
all those open
That's the worst. Nobody wants that.
Yes, when he slams into the guacamole, he'll scream, "Healthy fats!"
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yes, no trans fat.
That's right. If you want these Taste of Atlanta, Sandy Springs Food That Rocks event this weekend, 404-741-1230 is the number. Front office Los and Rhino and me. Hey, it's Tug on Extra 106.3. All right, so Comey thinks that Donald Trump will be wearing a tracking bracelet because he will have been indicted when he is the Republican nominee. And he was like, he made it very clear on MSNBC, I do not want Trump to be the nominee. I think it's terrible for America. Now, this is a guy that thinks that Joe Biden is the only person you should vote for, so he's a complete buffoon. He's a complete leftist lunatic, and he ran the FBI, which tells you the shape that the FBI is in. You should never listen to this man, and he should never be in charge of anything, Rhino.
No, this man should not be in charge. This man should have an ankle bracelet. This man should be in handcuffs. This man is guilty of treason as far as I'm concerned. He continually tried to push this Russian lie and the Russian collusion lie. He wanted to be a part of this. He has been weaponized. He has been bought by the left, and he continues down that path. You can't sit here and and tell me that while you were the FBI director, by the way, you're nonpartisan when this is how you come as a former FBI director and you continue to talk even though you've been caught in your own lies.
Yeah, there's something about him that now he feels so comfortable going on television. And when you had the Durham report come out and basically pointed out all of the things that the FBI did, who took part in a coup, okay? It was a coup, all right? That's what they were doing. And to have
an actual insurrection.
Yeah, and actually then have Comey sitting back saying, the FBI is not perfect. It's a complicated investigation. Some wires got crossed. You're lying, dude. We all know exactly what you were doing. Y'all created the very information by which you could go get the FISA warrants. You basically put that out to the press so that when the press reported on it, you would say, oh, look, now we've got to really look into this. See, this is very mainstream. It was all done from within your offices.
It was wagging the dog is exactly what it was doing. And this guy is one that belongs in jail. If anybody deserves to be in jail, it's him because of the way that he behaved as the leader of the FBI, an agency that should be there to protect Americans and does everything but protect Americans. It actually is detrimental to, and no American, in recent polling, no American believes that the FBI won't be taking part or trying to sway or influence the 2024 election. That's how far and how off base the FBI is because of people like James Comey.
Yeah, he's such a fraud. He's such a fake. And, he talked to Jen Psaki on Messy NBC or whatever the heck it's called now. But when he was talking, this was the quote that really struck out to me, too, was that he says that the next president of the United States has to continue to be Joe Biden. Why? This is my favorite part. The president must be someone who abides by the law and our Constitution. And there's no one else but Joe Biden who does that. You have to be kidding me. As somebody who works for the FBI, for the people, who's weaponized against the people, for you to sit there and say abides by the law and our Constitution. I hate to tell him this. It's not Joe Biden. He's tried to get around the Constitution every step of the way.
Say what you want to about Donald Trump. At least when you're talking about the setup of the administration and how things are supposed to go with the Department of Justice, it was set up where it was done the way it's supposed to, which is from a legal standpoint, from a structure standpoint, it is separated from the presidency. When you have Jeff Sessions, when you have different people that were like, hey, I got to recuse myself from this. This is the way things are going on. I've got to separate myself, from the president. It was an independent group. This entire DOJ is attached to the presidency, and basically it's being used as a weapon against any of their detractors or anyone else that they see as being any kind of threat to them. It is the epitome of lawlessness. When they're using the law agency to attack any of the people that they see as threats.
And they do this all over, just quickly, they do this all over the United States of America, where they don't enforce laws, and then they wonder why things are going crazy. That's exactly what's happening with the FBI. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like Home Depot has seen a 500% increase in people coming in and just stealing from their company. And it's because of people like James Comey that don't enforce the damn law.
Yeah, listen to this one, Tug. He could order the prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies because the president constitutionally does oversee the executive branch entirely, which includes the Department of Justice, prosecutors, and investigators. He could commission or direct that individual to do his bidding. Wait, I'm sorry, what? Did you not just see? It blows my mind. This is exactly what the left does. Former FBI Director James Comey is now saying that Trump is going to do exactly what the Biden administration and the left has been doing for 4 years.
Sounds familiar.
I wish that would happen.
Sounds familiar.
I'm petty like this. I've talked about how this House needs to start on a regular basis. Make it a point. Hey, guess what? We're going after the president. Do it every month. They were doing it to the same thing with Donald Trump, yet the Uniparty will not do such things because they only do that to outsiders. That ends up being the problem. I would like to see this sort of stuff. Once you get the power, go after your enemies in the same way. Because that's the problem that they run into. They always think to themselves, well, we've got it, so let's use it. And they never imagine, well, if you create the precedent of being able to do this, what happens when power flips?
Yeah,
and they
when
go
you're
after
not
you?
in power anymore.
Yeah.
I struggle with it because I hate that so much. You know what I mean? I hate the tit for tat so much, but I understand what you're saying. Like, try it a couple times and just to feed it back to them. But there is just everything that is me that hates that way of thinking and that way of doing. But it seems like at this point, I don't know that there's another way. You may have to play the game. You've already lost not playing the game. So what's the alternative?
Yeah, I mean, play the game. But you know what you do? You go on based on everything that James Comey is alleging happens if President Trump becomes president, and you just compare it and go, okay, you're right. We need to make sure that we're enforcing this. One of the other things he said is, well, the president, and he's talking about, obviously, Trump, could also direct all types of other conduct that people would, have to actually take to the Supreme Court to stop. Illegally trying to make sure that everybody else pays student debt relief. I don't know, make sure that everybody wears a mask and they have to, or otherwise they can't go back to work. Those kind of orders. And he goes, well, and who enforces those court orders? I mean, we have to get the Supreme Court to do. This is such a joke that he continually says that. So that's what I would love to see. Yeah, you know what? Let's be petty and let's go ahead and enforce those court orders like he wants on Joe Biden, on people like him who lied to the American people about Russian collusion. Yep, we should. You're right. We should enforce those court orders.
I'm petty only because this is the only president that I have ever had the experience of him trying to get me fired. Okay?
Right.
No,
Tried to get me
exactly right.
fired when you talk about how weird these people got and that you had 60% of Democrats. You'd go through the polling that thought, well, if you're not vaccinated, you should have your kids taken away. The insanity of these people knows no bounds. And so, am I an enemy of them? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Damn right I am.
Well, but that's the thing, though.
All of them. They're all morons.
They are. And if people hadn't have finally pushed back on the COVID things, they would still be trying to fire you. They would still have you wearing masks.
I was having it wasn't a discussion. It was more of a frustration point. As I like to joke around with my mother-in-law, she bought all of it, every bit of it. And as she's telling me something, as we both had a few drinks in us, and suddenly everybody gets a little bit loose-lipped. And I had to stop myself as she's talking about like, well, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do this. And all I thought to myself is, your son ended up in the hospital with an arrhythmia.
Yeah.
After taking his shot.
Yeah.
And you're looking at me like I did something wrong?
I know. Yeah.
Right.
You're looking down the wrong avenue.
I was like, he's a 38-year-old healthy man who has a heart problem now.
Yeah.
And you think I did something wrong?
But I'm telling you, people of that mindset, they will never change their mindset.
Man.
They absolutely
Rhino has them totally pegged on that.
Exactly right. They follow with no guidance whatsoever. They buy into it. And when they're told what to do, it's like a religion to them, because many of them don't have religion. And I'm not saying that about your mother-in-law. I'm just saying many people on the left do not have religion. So what do they replace it with? Government. And anything the government tells you, they worship at the altar of it. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. The 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air. Summer heat is here. I experienced it over the weekend. Man, I got a nice little tan going from being out at the ball fields. Maybe you did the same thing. If your AC system isn't maintained well enough to keep your family cool in this hot Georgia summer, you better get a maintenance agreement today with Central Heating and Air at centralheat.com.
All right, here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, June 5th. A Douglasville woman was arrested after hitting a Spirit Airlines ticket agent in the face. Police arrested Tierney Burrows on charges of simple battery assault for slapping a ticket agent who believed the woman was too intoxicated to fly. Atlanta City Hall will be closed to the public today and parts of tomorrow morning as the council holds a vote on the Atlanta Police and Fire Training Center. The closure is a security precaution due to the presence of the violent Defend the Forest extremists and their anti-government, anti-establishment views. Atlanta airport workers marched a mile to Delta Airlines headquarters yesterday to demand higher pay, more time off, and affordable health benefits. These workers, who are contracted by airlines to clean and maintain the terminals, are seeking minimum wage increases to $15 per hour. And it was the ninth inning, and the Braves were losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then, with 2 outs and the bases loaded, Eddie Rosario stepped up to the plate.
1-0 pitch on the way. Swung on the fly ball to right field. Going back now, Smith. Smith's at the wall. Grand slam!
The great Ben Ingram with the call on 680 The Fan. The Braves went on to win the game 8-5, end the series. Next up, the Braves will return to Truist Park, where they'll face the New York Mets tomorrow night at 7:20. You can catch all the action on our sister station, 680 The Fan.
This is the Morning Extra. Tug Rhino in front office Los. We will continue this morning until 10, and this is part of the expansion, the growth of Extra 106.3. You get an extra hour of the Morning Extra, and in the afternoon, a live and local afternoon show. The Kimmer Show takes to the air for the first time today. Well, at least here on Extra 106.3 is a full member of Extra 106.3's on-air staff. So the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder from 3 until 6 this afternoon on Extra 106.3. Another example of you get what you vote for. Georgia's 2 liberal senators are concerned about the arrests of the domestic terrorists in the Atlanta Training Center fight. Yes, they're worried about not you, but they're worried about the domestic terrorists. We'll discuss it next on Extra 106.3.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Lowe's. Let's talk about Rhonda Duffy and Duffy Realty of Atlanta. First off, $800 an hour. That's a lot of money, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of us would say $800 an hour. That's quite a bit of
Where
funds.
do I sign up?
That's it's good if you can get it. Well, that is what your average real estate agent is going to make on the sale of your property, $800 per hour. This is where Rhonda Duffy and Duffy Realty of Atlanta is different. First off, nothing down when you list with Duffy Realty of Atlanta. Inventory is low. Homes are still moving. You can get your home sold very quickly with Duffy Realty of Atlanta. But here's the other part. 7/8% when your home closes. That is what you owe. Start thinking about the difference between the traditional real estate agent and what you're getting with Duffy Realty of Atlanta. You're going to save yourself thousands of dollars. My in-laws had the exact same scenario play out. House sold in 12 hours. Everything went smoothly, and they were able to move on from that property. I got a friend of mine who works down the hall. 3 homes sold by Duffy Realty of Atlanta and Rhonda Duffy. He saved himself over $35,000 in these transactions. That's real money. And also, when it comes to working on the buyer side, my wife and I have been incredibly impressed with that system where you can get us back as much as 1.5% of the commission. You're already doing the legwork. You already know about the neighborhoods you're looking to move into. You know the homes that are on the market. Well, use Duffy Realty of Atlanta to purchase that next home. Buying, selling, everything, all the above. Duffy Realty and Rhonda Duffy can take care of that for you. DuffyRealtyofAtlanta.com.
expanded until 10, so you got another hour and a half with the Morning Extra here on Extra 106.3. So we are going to take you and discuss all the things that are important that's happening in America and around the state of Georgia and around the city of Atlanta, maybe the neighborhoods that you live in, discussing all that stuff, discussing the politics at a national level. And this afternoon, you'll get a live afternoon show for the first time ever on Extra 106.3, a permanent afternoon show with the Kemmer, Pete, and Flounder. So be ready for that this afternoon. Listen on the app. That's the best way to listen. Download that free for Apple and Android. Just search for XTRA 106.3 FM Atlanta when you're looking. Did y'all see any of the Nikki Haley CNN town hall last night? I watched about, 4 or 5 minutes of it. I didn't get a lot because we were at the ball field. I got home. You flip it on for a minute, you kind of tune in, and then, the rest of the, hey, we got to get dinner done. All this was happening around us. I don't know if y'all saw any of it, but I would imagine that the ratings were not nearly what they were with Donald Trump on the network.
Yeah, they're not even going to be close. And it was, they should never. She should have went first, then brought Trump in because she was a mess.
Yeah. The only thing that I did see is when Jake Tapper tried to kind of pin her down on her abortion ban. She said, he asked her, he said, if a 6-week ban theoretically came to your desk, would you sign it? And she said, would you ask that to Kamala Harris and to Joe Biden if they would agree that 37, 38, 38 weeks is long enough? Is that too long to start aborting babies? She's like, no one ever asked them that question. No one ever asked them how late they're willing to go. And I thought that was the best response. And that was the only thing in the whole thing that I've read or seen that was even a little bit of a firework.
Well, I will say Nikki Haley did get Jen Psaki all worked up because she pointed out how men trying to play women's sports is a threat to all women. And she was like, oh, what about abortion access? Like, yeah, that's pretty. We were talking about the amount of women that are going to experience it too. Yeah. You will much sooner have a man encroaching on your sports or your gym or your whatever, your bathroom, long before you ever have to consider an abortion.
Yes, absolutely, because less than 1% of women. I mean, even think about having an abortion. That's the weirdest part about this entire thing. But this is that whole ideology behind the left and their woke ideology is that you're supposed to just listen. They're okay with these weak men who want to, and they're, I'm an athlete and blah, blah, blah. And then they pretend that they're female because they can't get a trophy in their male sport. So that's exactly what woke, that's what the definition of it is. And that's what they continue to cater to. And Nikki Haley's is an okay low T GOP. I mean, obviously she's a woman. So
she's a very low GOP.
But at the same time, she's an establishment person as far as I'm concerned. She doesn't do much for me. I do appreciate her. I do understand her. I think she's right on everything she says, but she's never going to be strong enough to get anywhere except for maybe a VP pick from one of the candidates, and that's about it for her right now. Although I do like her. I do.
I like numbers, right? I try to bring numbers and be able to speak to certain issues and say, let's make it very clear. Think about how when you have people like Jen Psaki, people like the left that talk about abortion all the time, understand that abortion is there so that we can get rid of low-income people.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Janet Yellen said it out loud.
Janet Yellen told you flat out, like, oh, these are the people. Now, if you just want to go by the numbers, and you can find this over at Guttmacher Institute where they have the numbers, and this is just out of 2016. The numbers have changed. But by and large, 75% of all abortion patients are low income or below the poverty line. They're meant to get rid. Abortion is set up for poor people to get rid of other poor people.
That's a huge number.
And by the way, nearly 40% are white. So when anyone says like, oh, why is it, this is what they're targeting? The black populace, basically, it's at 28% of all abortion patients. So largely this is meant, it's not color oriented because Hispanics make up 25%. This is meant to get rid of the babies of poor people. And that is what abortion is. And that's why they hold on to it so dear, because they look at it and say, we need less poor people on this planet.
Which is crazy because their whole pitch is we're going to take care of everybody, Rhino.
Right. We're going to take care of everybody except for babies. We're going to kill them because it's easier than having them live their life in poverty, as Janet Yellen said. And that was exactly her quote. And she did say lower minority families, but it's low income families. And she amounted to that too, but said most black people will never get out of poverty. So they need to be able to have the ability to have abortions. That's such a just racist altogether. But she meant basically any poor people. But again, this is a population control. The left wants to make sure that the population of this planet is brought down. They learned it from the Chinese. We take money from the Chinese, and they're taking that idea. That's what abortion is about. And look, Nikki Haley was absolutely right. Nobody asked them about, murdering children when it's 36, 38, or
how long is too late?
Right.
Like, is it after they're 3 years old? Is that what it is?
Because they're okay with killing any kind of child. I mean, look at their protests. Their peaceful protests are about hurting people. Their peaceful protests, BLM, are about walking up to cop cars and shooting Houston cops while they're sitting in their cop cars. That they don't have any regard for life because they've taken religion out. So you have no fear of anything anymore or no morality in this world.
When Barack Obama, as president, brought up the 2 children that lived under his roof and said, I don't want them to be saddled with a mistake, a baby at a certain age, and that's why abortion needs to be protected. Understand that only 12% of teens end up as patients of abortion in terms of the overall numbers. 60% of the people that get abortions are women in their 20s. Okay, these are already adults.
Yeah, that should be able to make positive decisions and be responsible for said decisions.
But everyone pushes it to you as in
it's kids.
Oh, it's a 16-year-old girl. And we've got to protect her future. And again, only 12% of abortions apply to teenagers. 60% are women in their 20s who don't want the burden and don't want to be annoyed by having another child.
This is their fix. It's the same thing with, when you look at, whatever, Jordan Neely or whatever his name is, his family is so concerned now that he's passed away because they want money, but he's been homeless for how long? He's been arrested how many times? And you're saying, somebody should have helped him? I'm sorry, you're the family. Why wasn't he living with you? Why did you throw him out? Why was he homeless? But now all of a sudden he's a problem. Same thing here. The poor 16-year-old girl, where were you? Why didn't you introduce her to abstinence? Why didn't you introduce her to, protection, either a birth control pill, the sponge, I don't know, whatever you want to use, or even a condom. Why not talk about those things instead of, she's 16, she's having a baby. Guess what? That's your fault. I'm so tired of the personal responsibility of people's lives being thrown onto everybody else like we're supposed to sit there and help. You know what? We did it right. You didn't. Sorry. Suffer the consequences.
Elections have consequences, and we learn that more and more every day. Georgia's 2 senators, Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, are mistakes. The people of Georgia have made a mistake in their voting. They did not do the right thing. They did not make the right decision. And more evidence of that is they say they're troubled by the optics of last week's arrest of 3 people who assisted in ongoing protests against the city of Atlanta's planned public training facility. So they released statements separately. This is according to the AJC, and both talked about the fact that they're more concerned about the people that were arrested, the domestic terrorists, than they are you and your safety in the community that you live in, Rhino.
Yeah, they don't care about you, and they don't care about what's going on. They want this. This is sick, and I don't think either one of these senators should have stood up and talked about this, because this is the thing. And I thought Chris Carr did a great job on our show talking about, hey, the burden of proof is on us. We have to prove it. So we wouldn't bring this to court. We wouldn't have these arrests if we didn't think that we were able to prosecute this and we didn't have the good evidence.
We're not Fonnie Willis.
Right. And exactly. AJC is not going to cover the truth about these people because this is the woke media. This is what BLM rioters burning cities, attacking people, attacking even black-owned businesses, looting them, burning them. Those are peaceful protests. That's what they consider. And that's what's going on here. I want to explain to you what happened, because a lot of people don't understand, because we don't have a responsible newspaper that would actually talk about this. But this weekend at the DeKalb County Magistrate Court, they argued against a bond for the 3 people, I'm going to call them domestic terrorists, that were arrested. This is a terrorist group, whether they like it or not. What they do, and just to explain it, they hide behind what they're trying to do. They try to pretend they're so good. And what they say is, we're raising money. We organize and support nonprofits for any kind of protest, like the Atlanta Police and Fire Training Center protest. And they include food. They give out food and a bail fund. Now, these protests include demonstrating, and they've done this. This isn't just Atlanta, okay? This was in 2020, July 5th, 2020, part of the George Floyd protests. When they were during those peaceful protests, right, this group from them broke off. They attacked the DPS headquarters. They threw Molotov cocktails at the buildings. 2 people went to the hospital. The individual that was arrested and the person with him have both financially and operationally been connected to the same exact group. In July 3rd of 2020, 10 people were walking down a road, all black. They approached the Ebenezer Baptist Church, vandalized the church, and left. They split into 2 groups, changed into normal clothing, then removed their masks. The individuals, they're also members of the Defend the Forest group. They attacked Raphael Warnock's church, vandalized the church on July 3rd, 2022, and he's standing up for them.
It's a silly mess. And the thing is that you do have your local fish wrap that will not talk about it accordingly. It will not point out that these people, by and large, come from other places and are here to cause trouble.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the thing. That's all you need to say.
That's right.
They're not from here. They're here to cause trouble.
And period, full stop. But they won't. The AJC won't report that.
It's their constituency.
Of course not.
Yep.
They are pandering. They always pander. They don't care about the actual news. They don't care about actual reporting. They care about getting the narrative out there and keeping it out there and continuing to push it because it benefits the people that they feel like should be in office.
Yeah. And let me tell you more about these people, too. I mean, we could keep going all day about them because they're all connected. The same exact group has been connected. January 29th, 2023. This group organized a protest to mourn the death of the terrorist that was shot by the Georgia State Patrol, our heroes in the story. They encouraged everyone to wear black in mourning. Then they went to 191 Peachtree, which is a building. Numerous of the individuals started rioting. They set the Atlanta Police Department's vehicle on fire. They damaged the buildings. They shot mortar-style fireworks into the crowd of police. And then another individual broke into the skyscraper. He had an accelerant and a lighter with him, and he and the 5 others that were arrested for trying to light a building on fire all are a part of the Defend the Forest group. So again, everybody wants to say, oh, these guys were just peacefully protesting. We know about the organized concert and then the Molotov cocktails, dressed in black, carrying shields. These are the same exact people. And we sit here and pretend like they're the peaceful protesters, and they're so, oh, you guys are being arrested for doing bad things.
Los, the problem comes down to bad people do not believe in consequences. They're not worried about consequences.
Well, they're also not prosecuted,
and
either.
they're not. But that's exactly right.
Ultimately, what it comes down to.
There's no consequences for any of the behavior.
Because if we were in a civil and just society, we would have these people living underneath the prison, but we're not, and we don't.
Including people that walk into Home Depot and walk out with arms full of stuff. Or the Lululemon shop. The people who called the police actually got fired.
You only need to see the video of them attacking that entire site and go, that's organized, that's this many people, and look how they came dressed. This wasn't spontaneous.
It never is. It never is.
And let me tell you why the arrest happened and what, because people are like, well, why would they just go to their home if they were doing a bail thing and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, what they did was the Atlanta Police and, Georgia State Patrol and really our Attorney General's office, thank God for them, they had the search warrant. So what they did was they went through and they were pulling garbage for a long time. And what they did in these trash pulls is they found all this evidence. It's a diary, radicalized liberals with subversive materials without using state solutions. They found extremist writings, justifications of violence against the people, the government of Georgia, property, and religious officials. This is what they've done. They continue to do this. The other funny thing is all the money they raised for these bail. If someone was at the park and they did get arrested, they would tell these people, we won't bail you out unless you align with us and you do everything we tell you to do. That's why they are being arrested.
When we come back on Extra 106.3, the Washington Post suggests we should be celebrating the arrival of millions of illegal aliens in America. And you'll love the reason why you should celebrate. We'll discuss that next on the expanded Morning Extra going to 10 from now on. Starting today and this afternoon, a live afternoon show. The Kimmer Show is back on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
Guys, you need to make sure you're prepared in case of an emergency, and I got the place for you. It's the best place you can go. It's True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or trueprep.com. Make sure that your family is safe in the case of any kind of emergency, whether it's having enough food. What if we went through a famine? Do you have enough food? Are you storing things away in case of an emergency? Well, True Prep can get you started. Go over, visit Matt, visit Amy, and visit 7 years because most of these asylum cases are BS.
And they will continue to be that because you're going to continue to see people vote for Democrats and elect Democrats. Even here in Georgia, we saw it with our senators that we talked about in the earlier segment. People are still going to vote that way and then question why they run into all these problems. I don't know how to get to them. I don't know how to convince them.
And a last thing for you, because the news media will not be talking about this on a regular basis. You can look up North Star Mall in San Antonio. Oh, that's the that's your cartel is operating inside the state of Texas. Targeted shooting in a mall.
Well, there was the Home Depot, and I think this was in San Francisco. The woman came in; she was part of a crime syndicate that just goes in and robs places like Target and Walmart and Home Depot. The person just approached her to tell her she couldn't steal something, and she shot him and killed him right there as a Home Depot security guard in San Francisco. Unbelievable story. You're getting what you voted for. You better be paying attention the next time you go to the ballot box. Next on Extra 106.3, we've got a Borch report, then a Fox News update, and we'll continue with Brian Kemp unloading on Trump. But doesn't that just help Joe Biden? Whose side is he on exactly? We'll discuss it next on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, now expanded until 10 a.m. Another hour in the Morning Extra coming your way. And this afternoon, don't forget, our live afternoon show starts. The Kimmer is back on the radio in Atlanta.
executed. We've talked about this for the 2024 election. If you're not robocalling seniors with Joe Biden saying, I'm taking away aspects of your health care, you're doing it wrong.
You're missing an opportunity.
Okay? It's a dirty game we're
evil.
playing.
It's evil, but it's they're going to do it. They are absolutely going to do it, which I'm not saying that makes it okay, but get ready. It's coming your way.
Don't turn out to the polls, Jack. I'm taking away your Social Security.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. This is the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. AI is not going anywhere, and it is going to be a disaster. Some of the things that you see happening in front of your face and not even realize it, that it's not real. Brian Kemp, he tries to sidestep a little bit of the ongoing battle, if you will, that he has with Donald Trump. He's gone for a long time without saying anything, even though they were obviously at odds, Rhino. That's kind of coming to an end.
Yeah, I think it's time for him to kind of pull sides here. But yeah, I mean, look, there are some times that Donald Trump says things that even, you, me, and Carlos look at and go, what is he talking about? Well, Donald Trump kind of went on one of his social media posts and congratulated Kim Jong-un, the North Korea leader of a communist nation, and about their admission to the World Health Organization's executive board. Just a weird social media tweet or whatever you want to call it, a post by the president. And I think Brian Kemp saying taking our country back from Joe Biden doesn't start with congratulating North Korea's murderous dictator. I think it's that's the first time you've really heard him take a shot. But at the same time, I think I'm not against what Kemp did there.
No, me either.
I think it's smart.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kemp's going for, anything big time right now. He's going to stay where he's at, but he is a VP pick in the future, maybe, or someone might, get him now. It looks like he's trying to set that up. He's aligning himself with Ron DeSantis, which I think is pretty smart. And I don't think you'll see Kemp now all of a sudden. I don't think the floodgates are open, guys. I don't think he's going to just start shooting down Trump at every turn. But when it is something that kind of separates the country or divides the country or divides the base, I think he's going to do that.
It's a strange time, isn't it? Because we've seen when it comes to Donald Trump in this state, there are a great many amount of followers. There are a ton of Trump voters. At the same time, then we were also left as a people to make a choice, which was you had people that wanted to basically primary Kemp out of office, and yet the state basically backed up and said, no, we like what Brian Kemp did. It feels so strange that you have these two people that are obviously very popular within the party and within the movement, and they couldn't be on opposite ends of things.
Yeah,
yet we're still voting for each one.
Yeah,
there's another reason behind why Kemp did that as well, though. And part of that is we have a big GOP convention. It's one of the biggest events in Georgia. It's going on June 10th, this coming weekend. And it's the GOP convention. We're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy will be there. We're talking about, all these big leaders, including Donald Trump. And there's a separation. The one person that's not showing up is the leader of the state of Georgia, who's headlining this. Yeah. And this is a way for him to say, this is the reason, and that's what it is. This is a reason for him to say, I know everybody's giving me a hard time for not going to our state's GOP convention, but at the same time, I have to focus on running this state, and I'm not going to get involved with all this ridiculous thing that might be said at this convention.
I would push back on that, though. I would push back on him, not you, on him, by saying you had time to go sit down with the World Economic Forum. What you think that they have more close ideas to you than your own GOP? That's a little confusing to me, Brian Kemp. That would be where I would push back on him and be like, all right, it just comes down to a pissing contest at this point.
Well, it shows you're weak. I mean, stand up to the man. I mean, or just avoid it in total. You can still go out there and make a statement without
go a different day
in between them. Yeah.
It just seems so simple the way to fix this, but no.
They're afraid.
But they don't. Yeah, man. They just
no.
It should be.
It seems like you would be like, oh, bygones be bygones. No.
Yeah. No, but I'm not even saying that. You don't even have to like him. You don't have to like Trump. You can go there on a different day. There's all kinds of things you could do. Look at how great we're done in spite of Donald Trump. You could say anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's a big mistake for him not to go to this. I think it is a huge. There are a lot of people, and I know Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to be there, and he probably doesn't like the fact that she's so outspoken about things, and Trump's going to be there. But there are some really good people who are going to be at this event. Nikki Haley is going to be there as well. So there are some people that he could just go and talk about the state, talk about what we're doing here, and be kind of a hero to that low T GOP that they're looking for.
I suppose. I just don't understand why you can make time for the World Economic Forum and not make time for your own state's Republican Party. But that's just me, I suppose. The numbers last night on CNN were not replicated. It was kind of flat. And when we discussed this a little bit earlier, one of you, I can't remember who said it, is maybe they should have put Nikki Haley first and then ended on Donald Trump. Yeah. That way you get the, kind of the milquetoast, to no pun intended, and then get Donald Trump, which will give you big ratings because that's the biggest ratings they've had in years and years and years. And yeah, last night was, I checked in for about 5 or 10 minutes. There was nothing there that blew me away. The only thing that stood out at all was the conversation about abortion when she was asked by Jake Tapper, she being Nikki Haley, was asked by Jake Tapper, hey, if you had a 6-week abortion ban on your desk as president, if you were ever president, would you sign it? So I'll answer that as soon as you ask the current president and vice president, when is it too late? Is it 38, 39 weeks? Is it actually 40 weeks? Is it after they're born? Where does the abortion stop? And I thought that was the one spectacular moment that Nikki Haley had.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Other than that, it just laid there.
Yeah, and that's kind of who she is, just someone who is there. I think she is a good politician, but that's exactly what she is, and very similar to, like we were just talking about, Brian Kemp. And let me say one other thing. He had no problem going to Sea Island and getting the low T GOP and the establishment Republicans money. He had no problem doing that, but he has a problem going and doing the big GOP convention. But yeah, same thing with Nikki Haley. This is a woman that a lot of people believe is a rhino more than anything else. I don't think she's a big name at all. And, if they were to put Robert F. Kennedy on CNN, he wouldn't pull any numbers either. They want Trump, and they'll never get that kind of move again.
Well, you're always going to have tiers, and she has reached the tier of quality governor in her state, quality servant for her state. Obviously, United Nations, here's what her tier is. Presidential, I don't think it really.
No, it doesn't add up.
It doesn't fit. You have to have a certain amount of panache at this point, where you have to be able to move audiences. You have to kind of be able to create this electric feel for, if we put this person in office, these are the things that are going to change. And I just don't think that Nikki Haley has that kind of appeal.
I don't think she does either. This is
good politician.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was a fine governor, but she's not going to be a president. Maybe a cabinet member, maybe a vice president, as Rhino suggested a little bit earlier. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Let's get to the headlines.
All right, here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, June 5th. A Douglasville woman was arrested after hitting a Spirit Airlines ticket agent in the face. Police arrested Tyranny Burrows on charges of simple battery assault for slapping a ticket agent who believed the woman was too intoxicated.